You were the smart kid. So why do you feel so lost now? In today's episode, let's talk about something quietly painful. Something that's hard to admit, even to yourself. You were the smart kid. The one everyone believed in. The one who always seemed a step ahead. And yet here you are now. Unmotivated. Disconnected. Drifting. You're not failing. You're not broken. But you don't feel whole either. Why does this happen? How does the gifted, praised child become the confused, uncertain adult? Let's unpack it together. This isn't about blaming your past. It's about understanding how it shaped you and how you can reshape yourself going forward. Part 1. When praise becomes pressure. When we're young, identity is simple. We latch onto a few traits and build our self-worth around them. I'm the funny one. I'm the athlete. I'm the smart one. For some of us, being the smart kid wasn't just a compliment. It became our role. You were praised for finishing early. For knowing the answer. For not needing help. And that felt good. It felt safe. But here's what no one warned you. Being constantly praised for being smart teaches you to fear anything that challenges that image. Struggle? Must mean you're slipping. Failure. Must mean you're not who they thought. Effort? That's for people who aren't naturally gifted, right? So slowly, without realizing it, you start equating difficulty with defect. And that's where the first crack forms. Part 2. Why you feel behind even when you're not. Here's the paradox. You're still smart. Still capable. But somehow you feel stuck. Behind. Detached. Why? Because while you were protecting your image, others were growing. Failing, yes, but also learning. Being messy, yes, but also becoming resilient. You've been sitting in the stands, overthinking the game while everyone else is playing. And now it feels too late to join in. Too risky. Too vulnerable. But let me tell you, it's not too late. It never was. You just need to learn a skill you were never taught. How to be imperfect and still worthy. Part 3. When identity becomes a trap. You built your self-worth on being intelligent. And that worked, until life demanded more than just smarts. Adulthood isn't about memorizing answers. It's about making decisions with no clear right one. It's about getting things wrong and learning as you go. But if your sense of self is built on always knowing, then not knowing doesn't feel like growth. It feels like failure. You begin to avoid anything unfamiliar. You don't speak up unless you're sure. You don't try new things unless you're guaranteed to be good at them. You don't start because starting might mean stumbling. And over time, your life gets smaller. What was once excellence becomes avoidance. And what was once pride becomes pressure. Part 4, the loneliness no one talks about. This part's quiet. Invisible. But you feel it. You start pulling away. Stop joining. You avoid group activities, small talk, casual friendships. Why? Because those things are unpredictable. And if you're not instantly good at them, they feel threatening. So instead of participating, you observe. You become the analyzer. The thinker. The one who watches but doesn't always join in. And at first it doesn't feel like loneliness, it feels like control. But eventually the silence gets heavy. You crave connection. You want to belong. But now even socializing feels like something you have to be good at. So you retreat. Not because you don't care, but because you're tired of performing. Part 5, the trap of overthinking emotions. So what do smart kids do when they're hurting? They try to think their way out of it. You analyze your sadness. You logic your way through anxiety. You dissect your loneliness like a problem to be solved. You write journal entries that sound like essays. You try to outsmart shame. You argue with your own brain. But emotional pain doesn't respond to intellect. It responds to presence. You can't think your way into healing. You have to feel your way through it. And for many smart kids, emotional literacy was the one class we were never taught. Part 6, the armor of superiority. When all else fails, your ego builds a defense. You start telling yourself things like, "Other people just don't get me. I'm too deep for surface-level relationships. I'd rather be alone than deal with shallow minds." And maybe some of that feels true. But often it's not pride, it's protection. Because it hurts less to say, "I'm above this," than to admit, "I feel left out." This is called defensive superiority. And it's one of the most subtle, isolating mindsets a person can fall into. It keeps you separate. It makes vulnerability feel like weakness. And it convinces you that loneliness is a choice, when really, it's a symptom. Part 7, how to start letting go. So how do you break free? How do you stop being the smart kid who's quietly suffering and start becoming a whole person again? You start by doing something incredibly hard. You stop identifying as the smart one. Not because intelligence is bad, but because basing your worth on it is unsustainable. You shift your identity from being naturally gifted to being committed to growing. You stop asking, "Will I look good doing this?" and start asking, "Will this help me grow?" You allow yourself to try things and be bad at them. You participate, not to win, but to join in. You stop protecting an image. And you start building a life. Part 8, reclaiming growth. Yes, it's awkward. Yes, it's humbling. Yes, it feels like a step backward. But in reality, it's your first real step forward. Because growth doesn't come from staying excellent. It comes from doing something uncertain and showing up anyway. The old version of you believed your worth came from being special. The new version knows that your worth comes from being real. Real people are allowed to be messy. To learn slowly. Not know everything. You're allowed to feel lost. You're allowed to not have a plan. You're allowed to ask for help. Part 9. The healing starts in connection. Connection doesn't require perfection. It requires presence. It starts the moment you let go of needing to be impressive and just start being honest. That's where belonging happens. Not when you prove yourself, but when you share yourself. If you've spent years trying to be the smartest person in the room, this is your invitation to stop. You don't need to be impressive to be welcome. You don't need to be exceptional to be loved. You just need to be here. Open. Willing. Human. That's enough. So if any part of this resonated with you, if you saw yourself in this story, know that you're not alone. So many of us were taught to value our minds, but forgot how to live in our hearts. And this? This is the work now. Not proving you're brilliant, but remembering you're already enough. Even when you're unsure. Even when you're lost. Even when you don't feel like the smart kid anymore. You're still growing. And that counts for everything. If this spoke to you, leave a comment and let me know what part hit the hardest. Say, I'm letting go of the performance. I'm choosing real connection. Let's show each other that we're not walking through this alone. And if you want more content like this, subscribe. Not because it's perfect, but because we're in this journey together. Take care of your mind. Be kind to your younger self. And keep showing up. You're not lost. You're just beginning again.